I don't really talk about this much. Not because I forgot about it. Trust me, you don't forget something like this. I just never really found the right moment to bring it up. Like, how do you just casually drop something like this into a conversation, you know? But it's been years now, and I think I'm ready to talk about it. I was 16, maybe 17. I don't remember exactly. What I do remember is that my parents had this family event to go to, out-of-town thing. Cousins, aunts, uncles, the whole thing. And I didn't want to go. You know how it is when you're a teenager? Last thing you want is to sit in some relative's living room for 2 days while the adults talk about stuff you don't care about. So, I stayed home. My parents weren't totally cool with it at first, but I was old enough. We had a good neighborhood. Nothing ever happened there, so they said fine. Left me some money for food, told me to lock the doors, and that was it. I remember standing at the door watching their car pull out of the driveway, and honestly, I felt great. Whole house to myself. No rules, no bedtime. Just me. I had no idea what was coming. So the first few hours were fine. I did what any teenager would do. Ordered food, watched whatever I wanted on TV, stayed up way later than I was supposed to. Normal stuff. It was probably around midnight when things started feeling a little off. I was in my room, second floor, watching something on my laptop. I don't even remember what it was. And then I heard something outside, like a thud, something falling, coming from the backyard. I paused my show and just sat there for a second. Nothing. I got up and went to my window, looked down into the backyard. It was dark out there. We had one of those motion sensor lights, but it wasn't on. So whatever made that sound either wasn't big enough to trigger it, or it wasn't moving anymore. I stared out there for like a full minute. Couldn't see anything. No movement. Nothing out of place. I told myself it was probably a cat, or maybe something fell off the fence. Wind or whatever. I went back to my laptop and kept watching, but I couldn't really focus after that. You know that feeling where something small happens and your brain just won't let it go? Like it keeps pulling your attention back even when you're trying to ignore it. That's how I felt. Maybe an hour later, I got hungry. My snacks were done, so I went downstairs to the kitchen to grab something else. The house felt different at night when I was alone. I don't know how to explain it. Like the same house, but slightly wrong. The sounds were different. The silence was heavier. I was in the kitchen making a sandwich when I heard it. Footsteps. Right outside the front door. Not like someone walking past on the sidewalk. These were slow. Right there on the porch. Like someone standing outside my front door. I froze. I stood there in the kitchen, not moving, just listening. And then, it stopped. I waited maybe 30 seconds. Then I slowly walked to the front door. We had one of those doors with a thin side window next to it, like a narrow strip of glass you could peek through without opening the door. I leaned over and looked through it. Nobody there. The porch was empty. The street outside was quiet. A couple of streetlights. A parked car or two. Nothing unusual. I stood there for a second and then I laughed at myself a little. Like, come on, man. You're scaring yourself over nothing. I went back upstairs and got into bed. Told myself I was just being paranoid because I was alone. Turned off the lights and tried to sleep. That was a mistake. I don't know exactly how long I was lying there. Maybe 30 minutes. Maybe a little more. I was right at that edge of sleep where you're not fully out yet, but your brain is starting to go quiet. And then the knocking started. Front door. Loud. Heavy. Not like someone politely knocking. Like someone using their fist. Over and over. I sat straight up in bed. My heart was going crazy. I just sat there in the dark, staring at nothing, trying to process what I was hearing. It stopped for a second. Then it started again, even harder this time. Like whoever was out there was getting angry, like they were trying to break through the door. I grabbed my phone. No missed calls, no messages from my parents. I started typing out a text to my dad, but my hands were shaking so bad I could barely type. And then I heard something that made my blood go cold. Footsteps on the stairs, inside the house. Slow, heavy, coming up. One step, then another, then another. I don't know how they got in. I don't know when it happened. All I know is that someone was coming up my stairs, and I was 16 years old and completely alone. I didn't think. I just moved. I ran to my bathroom, slammed the door, locked it, and pressed my back against the wall next to the sink, trying to make myself as small as possible. I could hear my own breathing. It sounded so loud. I was terrified they could hear it too. Footsteps in my bedroom, slow, moving around, like someone searching, opening the wardrobe, checking under the bed maybe. I could hear things being moved around, and then a knock on the bathroom door. Not aggressive this time, almost calm. 3 slow knocks. I put my hand over my mouth. I didn't make a sound. I didn't breathe. I just stood there frozen against that wall. Then something hit the door handle. Hard. Like something metal being slammed against the lock over and over, trying to break it open. I thought that was it. I genuinely thought that was the last few minutes of my life. I was 16 years old, crying silently in a bathroom while someone tried to break down the door. And then, it stopped. Footsteps again. Moving away from the bathroom door, back through my bedroom, back down the stairs. And then nothing. Complete silence. I stayed in that bathroom the entire night. I sat on the floor with my back against the door until the sun came up. I didn't move. I didn't sleep. I didn't make a single sound. My parents got home around 10 the next morning. I heard the front door open and my mom calling my name, and I just completely fell apart. I came downstairs shaking. I couldn't even get the words out properly at first. My dad went through the whole house. Back door was wide open. Someone had forced it. In the living room, drawers were open, stuff thrown around. Upstairs, same thing. My parents' room completely gone through. They called the police. I told them everything. The noise in the backyard, the footsteps on the porch, the knocking, the stairs, the bathroom door. The officer taking my statement kept nodding, didn't look surprised at all, like he'd heard something like this before. My parents stayed close to me the whole time. My mom kept her hand on my back. I couldn't stop shaking even hours later. A few days after that, my dad called me into the living room. He had this look on his face, like he was trying to figure out how to say something. He told me the police had arrested 2 men, 3 actually, a group that had been hitting houses in the area for weeks, always when families were away, always at night. And then he told me the part that I still think about. These men were armed, knives, at least 1 gun. And in 2 previous break-ins where they found someone home, they didn't leave witnesses. My dad couldn't even finish the sentence properly. I survived that night because I locked myself in a bathroom and didn't make a single sound. That's it. That's the only reason. If I had opened that bathroom door, if I had made a noise, if they had known for certain someone was home. I don't like to think about what would have happened. I still lock every door before I sleep, every single night. Doesn't matter where I am. I don't think that's ever going to change.